Today, I want to show you how to make this, an LED clothespin flashlight. Squeeze it together, makes contact, light comes on, flashlight. So, what you're going to need: wire, clothespin, electrical tape, an LED, doesn't matter what color, and 2 watch batteries. So we start by cutting 5 inches of electrical wire. The wire's stranded, it's 18 gauge, and you need about 5 inches. Okay, a little more, a little less, isn't that big a deal. So, next step, strip a 1/2 inch of the insulation off of the wire. And so you line it up to the 18 gauge on there, pinch it, strip it, and then I always like to give it a little twist. So do that to both sides. Okay. Strip it about a 1/2 inch. Done. A little more. It's not that big a deal for what we're doing today. So it's the last time you are going to need the wire cutters. Then, things to remember. LEDs. See the two, there's long leads. There's a long lead and a short lead. The long lead is positive, the short lead is negative. It corresponds to the positive side and the negative side on the battery. Okay, we're going to put the batteries together in series so that instead of 1.5 volts we get 3, because the LEDs need about 2 to 3 volts to actually light. So we'll start with that. So the first step. So with the electrical tape, we want to first start by mounting our LED. We need to keep track of which leg goes where. I try and put the long leg on top. So to do that, step number 1, take and twist it together. We will go over how to solder later on, but for right now, we're just making electrical connections. Simple. Tape that together. Then you can take a small piece of electrical tape, secure that, just to make sure that you get a good, strong connection. Wrap that around, it sticks. You just need to be sure to leave space. So once this is done, finished, connected. Next, we're going to secure this to the clothespin. So we start it, wrap it over here like this. Now, to attach it, use about 1.5 inch piece of electrical tape. Cut it off. And we run this here. Put the electrical tape on first, because you need to be able to make sure that this cathode piece isn't covered up. And so then we can take and wrap this over. Wrap this one over. Okay, connection made. Next, we want to take and tape our batteries together. So we cut off another smaller piece of electrical tape, and for this one, let's say somewhere between 3/4 of an inch and 1 inch. It kind of depends on how big the batteries you're using. These watch batteries come in all different sizes. I grabbed 2 really small ones for this today. So we take, cut a really small piece of electrical tape. You can save this extra piece for later, and you then just take your 2 batteries and tape them together. The smaller the batteries are, unfortunately, the harder it is to actually get them to stick together. But make sure the batteries touch positive to negative, or so that they connect in series, and wrap the tape around. You want to make sure that they're covered, but the 2 ends are still open. If you need to cut that off, you can do that, because this is how you're going to make the contact with the rest of it. So we then need to secure this to our wire. So we're going to trim this off so we have a nice spot to make contact. Yep. This we attach here, and this we can use this extra piece of electrical tape. Told you it would come in handy. So we need to make sure that we have the positive side going to the positive side of the LED, the negative side to the negative side of the LED. And we just put that on there with that extra piece of electrical tape. Wrap it around. As long as you're making contact between the battery and the wire, that's good enough. But make sure that these leads here are clear. So we can trim that off. And if you need more electrical tape on there, we have lots. Usually like to wrap this. Make sure we get it really good and covered. No exposed leads. Everything's covered. The more securely you can attach it, the better it's going to be. So we take about another 1.5 inch piece of electrical tape, somewhere in that neighborhood. Cut that off. Then you are going to attach this, the battery, right under the cathode on the LED. Tape it in place, and with any luck, you will get your LED to light. So we know that it works. Put some electrical tape there. Slide this guy here. Attach it down. And just going to make sure that it lines up. So things to keep track of really on this are what direction you put the LED on to begin with, what direction the batteries go. Take that closed and lines up underneath. Voila! A working LED flashlight from Clothespin, little piece of wire, 2 watch batteries.